Deontay Wilder, future fights. Who should he fight? What should happen next? Will he fight Tyson Fury? What is Deontay Wilder waiting for? What is going to happen next in the career of Deontay Wilder? Drop your comments in the comment section below. Like, subscribe, share this video, hit the subscribe button, hit the what am I talking about? Hit that bell button. Yeah, hit that bell button, of course. You know, do all that good stuff. Let's take the subscribers up. Let's do all that good stuff on that. Hit the like button as well. Let's jump into it. Who should Deontay Wilder be taking on next, guys? No, drop your comments. Let me see what you guys think about this one. Who should Deontay Wilder be fighting next? Now, obviously, we know the whole Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury, saga. I've made videos on it before. Check out my videos on Deontay Wilder, the contract expiring with Tyson Fury, and all this that and the other. Probably I'm going to release another video on one of Deontay Wilder's tweets on that as well. But who should Deontay Wilder be fighting next? Let's jump into it. So Deontay Wilder, as I said, he's had his little saga with Tyson Fury, contract expiring, radio silence for a couple months. Now Deontay Wilder's talking. Tyson Fury's already said that, you know what, I'm moving on, this, that, and the other. But let's jump into who I think Deontay Wilder should potentially be taking on, or this, that, and the other, whatever the hell is going on out here, man. So, first of all, we got Tyson Fury. Now, obviously, Tyson Fury said he's walking off, but stranger things have happened in boxing. I'm not gonna. Can this fight still happen? Will this fight still happen? Money talks. And we all know that Bob Arum and the big money men in boxing still know that apart from Fury, AJ, Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder is probably the second grossing fight after Fury versus AJ right now. So, will money talk? Can money talk? Will Deontay Wilder versus Tyson Fury still take place? In terms of Deontay Wilder, if Deontay Wilder wants a quick, opportunity to put himself back in the limelight, put himself back in the position to become undisputed heavyweight champion to potentially fight AJ, Deontay Wilder should want to fight Tyson Fury next. Any other route, he's gonna get frozen out because Fury and Joshua are gonna potentially have back-to-back fight, then rematch, then we never know, there could be a trilogy. And Wilder, just like Eddie Hearn said, could be frozen out until like 2022, 2023. Wilder's not getting any younger. Wilder's 35. So if I was Deontay Wilder, I would be looking to try and fight Fury as soon as possible. Saying Tyson Fury's a cheat and waiting for contracts to expire doesn't actually help you in order to get the fight you need in order to pick up that WBC belt. But in terms of Wilder elevating himself back into big time boxing, back into the position to become undisputed champion to take on AJ, I think he should really be pushing to try and fight Tyson Fury. If there's any legal mechanism, maybe in his contract or whatever, he should be trying to, get this fight done. Money does talk. Let's see what Bob Arum's going to say. Because money does talk. Wilder Fury is going to generate more money than some Ajit Caballero or fine Dillian White. So we have to wait and see what happens on that one. So Deontay Wilder probably, as he does say, he is saying he's basically begging Tyson Fury to honor the contract, telling him to be a man and give him his opportunity like he gave Tyson Fury his opportunity. Whether anything comes of it, who knows? But let's jump into what happens if Deontay Wilder ends up not fighting Tyson Fury. Now, these are three fighters I believe that Deontay Wilder, in no particular order, should potentially fight if one reason or the other he ends up not fighting Tyson Fury or gets frozen out from a world title shot. Let's jump into it. The big Mexican, let's jump into it. Man like Andy Ruiz. What's he saying? I believe Deontay Wilder should potentially set up a fight with Andy Ruiz at some point down the road. A big USA domestic showdown between Deontay Wilder and Andy Ruiz. I think that'll be absolutely explosive. Both former champions. Obviously, Deontay Wilder held his WBC longer than Andy Ruiz was able to hold AJ's belts. But these are two former champions. You still got former champion on their name. So anything with former champion or champion and fighters like Andy Ruiz and Deontay, with the fan base now Andy Ruiz has, that Hispanic Mexican fan base, add that with Deontay Wilder, growing fan base, and growing notoriety. I think this fight could generate a lot of money for both men and the money men in the teams. Both of these guys, Deontay Wilder and Andy Ruiz, will make a hell of a lot of money if they're to take each other on, and this could arguably be the biggest fight outside of the champions. Outside of Fury and Joshua, arguably Andy Ruiz versus Deontay Wilder could be the biggest fight outside of Fury Joshua, arguably. We know what Andy Ruiz did with AJ. We know what Deontay Wilder is capable of. So it makes sense. Andy Ruiz with PBC, Wilder, they're basically in the same with the same Al Heyman and all that. So it's a fight that could easily get made. Would Deontay Wilder want to take the risk and fight Andy Ruiz? Would Andy Ruiz want to take the risk and fight Deontay Wilder with no belt at stake? That's a debate. That's a debate in itself. Because does Deontay Wilder want to fight Andy Ruiz with no belt at stake? Andy Ruiz hasn't got a belt. Or does Andy Ruiz want to fight Deontay Wilder, who ain't got no WBC, and risk taking another L, getting knocked out? That is the problem. Guys don't want to take risks, and getting knocked out or potentially getting beat by someone who doesn't have a belt. People want that reward. If I win, at least I'm fighting to get the WBC. But if there's no WBC to get or no belt to get, it's like, why do I need to take the risk of fighting a big puncher? Or Wilder will be like, why do I have to take the risk of fighting someone, the hand speed of someone like Andy Ruiz? What's really the benefit? Well, the benefit is making the big money. So money talks. This fight could happen. I think it should happen if Deontay Wilder somehow gets frozen out, can't get Fury or AJ. Andy Ruiz is definitely a fight you should be looking at. Who's next? Is that Charles Martin? I think Charles Martin is a fight that Deontay Wilder could potentially look at. I think Charles Martin is more of a fight that Deontay Wilder can look at in terms of post Tyson Fury. Obviously, he lost to Tyson Fury. I think a good run-out fight, a good comeback fight with a decent name is actually Charles Martin. Stylistically, Deontay Wilder is likely to catch Charles Martin with his right hand. Charles Martin is not the best mover. He's not the best at avoiding shots, but it's a decent name for Deontay Wilder to have on his resume, that he's beaten Charles Martin after losing to Tyson Fury, to get the confidence back, get a good knockout over a name that most people in boxing recognize for his loss against Anthony Joshua. But is he just going to be fighting Anthony Joshua's leftovers? Most people would say that, but I think Charles Martin is a decent, comeback fight after losing to Tyson Fury, because, Charles Martin has fought decent fights. He's fought Joe Washington, he's fought Adam Karnacki, lost to Adam Karnacki, he fought Anthony Joshua. I think Charles Martin is actually ranked number 3 or number 2 or number 3 in the IBF right now. So he's got a decent ranking in the IBF. So he's actually a pretty much high ranked fighter in the IBF. So I think that's a decent name for Deontay Wilder to fight after fighting Tyson Fury. Will he fight Charles Martin? You have to wait and see what happens. He can't fight. He's not fighting no Luis Ortiz again. There's not many other guys in the PBC with decent names knocked out Brazil. So Charles Martin might be a route for him to go, as his, just a fight he can do to get a good win under his belt. Charles Martin is not a walkover. He's got a decent left hook, decent left hand, and he seems to have improved in his performances. The way he knocked out Gerald Washington, and the way he went to trenches and then he stopped Adam Karnacki. He seemed to have improved and had a bit more discipline since he's lost to Anthony Joshua. So it might be a good fight and a good run out for Deontay Wilder. And don't rule out Charles Martin being able to get the upset with that left hand that he's got there. So we know what we've seen. We've seen Wilder take a left hand from Ortiz. So don't count on Charles Martin out from doing something. But everybody expects Deontay Wilder to iron out Charles Martin. So let's see what happens. Michael Hunter, is that Hunter? Man like Hunter is hunting the big names. So we got Michael Hunter. Michael Hunter's now a free agent, I believe, after leaving Matchroom. Matchroom didn't renew his contract. So we don't really know what's going on with Michael Hunter. I think Michael Hunter right now is calling out everyone. Calling out, what's his name, Tyson Fury. Calling out White. Calling out, this guy just wants the big fights. He fought Povetkin to a draw. He beat Sergei Kuzmin. He's beaten Ustinov. He's beaten Bakoli. His loss His loss to Alexander Usyk was in the cruiserweight division. You know, so decent fighter for Deontay Wilder to take on. Only lost to Alexander Usyk in the cruiserweight division, you know, and you know, right now Michael Hunter's looking for us in the heavyweight division. He's quick, he's sharp, he looked good against Alexander Povetkin, you know, and also he's American, so it could be a good, interesting domestic clash for Deontay Wilder. Only thing is that Deontay Wilder, well, I might look at it and say Michael Hunter hasn't really got a good name. Is it a risk worth taking for less money? You know, for potentially generating less money, because Michael Hunter's not really renowned like that. He's a new quantity really in the heavyweight division. So risk reward, would Deontay Wilder really want to take the risk against Michael Hunter for less reward potentially? I don't know. Deontay Wilder's not really, track record hasn't really seen him taking on tough challenges if he doesn't really feel like he needs to, which most fighters are currently doing. But I think Michael Hunter would be a good name on his resume if he's to go in there and knock out Michael Hunter in devastating fashion. You know, I think that'll be a good, explosive, you know, interesting fight. You know, stylistically, you know, Hunter's a very quick fighter moving up for cruiserweight division. I think he'll give Deontay Wilder a heap of problems with movement and his hand speed. And that's just a fight I'd like to see. Whether Deontay Wilder take it is another story. But I'd like to see Deontay Wilder potentially take on a Michael Hunter. So, yeah, that's it. Drop your comments in the comment section below. Deontay Wilder. Who should Deontay Wilder be fighting next? Should he take on, can he still get a fight with Fury? And is he going to take on maybe Andy Ruiz? Is he going to take on maybe Charles Martin, like in the interim before taking on a tougher challenger? Or would he take a risk and take on, you know, Hunter, the bounty hunter? Would he take him on? Drop your comments in the comment section below. Like, subscribe, jab the subscribe button, do all that good stuff. Who do you think Deontay should take on next if he doesn't fight Tyson Fury? Do you think the Fury fight will still happen? Is he wasting his time and he should find someone else to fight? Like, subscribe, share this video, hit the subscribe button, join the KBV boxing community. Cool.